Well, and speaking of the streamers, one of my favorite streamers is Mubi.
Me too.
Next to the Criterion Channel, I think it's just quality. It's just quality over quantity. They have really good movies on there.
They really do.
And they are now.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I'm a fucking nerd. Fuck you. Mubi's fucking awesome. Fuck you.
They have also selectively been getting into releasing, distributing movies, and they were the main production company behind The Substance, with Demi Moore, Margaret Qualley, and Dennis Quaid, which was one of the big festival hits this year. Had so much buzz coming out of the fest. People were passing out and throwing up in the aisles. They couldn't believe this movie. Oh my God. These cinephiles who apparently have never heard of David Cronenberg they were shocked by The Substance. They couldn't believe what they were seeing on the screen. And perhaps that was one of the reasons why, for me, The Substance, which I saw this week, was a bit of a letdown. I think with that much hype, it's almost inevitably going to be a bit of a letdown, particularly festival hype, which I think I just have to stop paying attention to because the festival hype is silly. It's like everyone's around each other. They're drinking way too much free champagne, and they're making just crazy assertions about what end up being sort of mid to below mid movies. And The Substance is the latest of those for me. I found it to be a big, flashy, bloody swing and a miss of a movie. But to start with the positives, it looks great. I liked the look of it. I like the style of it. The movie very quickly follows Demi Moore, who is about to turn 50 years old. She is a award-winning actress who has now found a career sort of Jane Fonda-esque as this like aerobics instructor who does this very popular exercise show on TV. She turns 50, and Dennis Quaid, her disgusting, loathsome Hollywood producer, who loves to just chomp on shrimp in some amazing close-up shots. He essentially fires her and then replaces her, puts out a casting call for I need a 20 to 25-year-old version of Demi Moore so we can keep this show going, but Demi has officially aged out of Hollywood because she turned 50. Demi Moore then, after getting in a car accident, finds out from this shady nurse at the hospital about something called The Substance, where you can rediscover the best, youngest, most beautiful version of yourself, right? And then in sort of Portrait of Dorian Gray style, she takes The Substance and she sort of splits into two people, herself and then this younger sort of idealized version of herself played by Margaret Qualley. Margaret Qualley takes over her job, and then there's all these rules about how they have to interact, these two sort of doppelgangers of each other. And then it gets very body horror-y after that, ending with a big bloody climax, but I won't give anything away beyond that. So positives, I thought it looked great, from the aerobics outfits to the sort of Kubrick-inspired narrow carpeted hallways to those aforementioned shrimps that Dennis Quaid is chomping on in close-ups. It gave this sort of surreal nightmare vision of Hollywood, and I thought production designer, cinematographer, I thought those people really played their roles well and did what was asked of them. And overall, I thought it looked really good. Also, the prosthetics and visual effects I thought were fantastic. It was really just like wall-to-wall body horror, and all of the oozing pus and bones cracking and blood spraying and this big, sort of crazy body effects and everything. I don't think you could do it better. I thought it was just like very well done visual effects, special effects. So congrats to the Substance VFX team for that. I also liked the performances overall. Dennis Quaid just gives a sort of gonzo, insane performance. It's shocking that he did, that I don't know when they were filmed, but that he came out with Reagan and The Substance in the same month is one of just the all-time nuts pairings for an actor to come out with in the same month.
Actors are so weird.
They're so weird.
I love them so much. God bless. I'm sure he did them a week apart.
Yeah. I'm like crazy Hollywood producer chomping on shrimp now. No problem. Let me just take this Ronald Reagan wig off real quick, and then we'll do that. And then Demi Moore, I think, may have hopefully found a sort of Joan Crawford-esque late career renaissance in horror.
She was really great.
I could take more of Demi Moore doing horror.
She was so good.
Immediately.
I agree.
Yeah, I thought she was great.
Me too.
I thought Margot Qualley is fine. I don't know. I've honestly yet to see I know she's the it girl. She's gonna keep cropping up and stuff. I have honestly yet to see a Margot Qualley performance that makes the hype train make sense to me. I mean, she's totally fine, but
Wrong.
but as the it girl, I don't know.
Wrong.
I need more. I want more.
Wrong.
Definitely the least memorable of the leads, per usual, per Margot Qualley. So those are the positives, and those are a lot of positives.
That was a lot of positives.
That's a lot of pieces in place for a good movie.
I thought you didn't like it.
The problem was the soul of the movie, the story, the script, the character development or lack thereof, the treatment of the themes, everything that constitutes the meaning of the movie was such a massive letdown and was operating at such a sort of lower level than the aesthetics of the movie. I have no idea how this movie won best script. It can. I don't like that is. The script is easily one of the weakest parts of the movie. I have no idea why. Like, why best script? It's such a weird award to give this movie. The Substance takes
like best original screenplay is always for like Spike Jonze. It's creative.
Right.
Maybe it's that kind of impulse where it's like
I guess they're giving it to the concept.
Eternal Sunshine.
Yeah, but like the
that
dialogue
kind of,
was.
I know. I agree.
Forgettable
Of all of the elements,
amateurish.
I don't feel like the script was what would be a standout element.
No, because The Substance takes a very familiar theme, Hollywood's bullshit, and namely the dehumanizing treatment of women in Hollywood and the way women age out of the business in a way that men don't. The movie starts with these themes, and like combining those themes with body horror and Demi Moore. I mean, there's a lot of promise and potential here, but it does nothing interesting or new with those themes. I felt the treatment of those themes was so basic, and more than basic, those themes didn't go anywhere over the course of the movie. A movie like this really would benefit from some twists and some turns where like a theme turns in on itself, where a character like surprises you with a choice, or sort of characters like team up in an unexpected way. But this movie kind of like really felt like a sort of self-fulfilling prophecy type of movie where the director knew where they wanted to go from the beginning and then just took the quickest path there and didn't, sort of think about sort of more interesting ways of getting from point A to point B. Because a movie like this, I really think would benefit from, it doesn't like interrogate itself. It doesn't seem interested in itself. It seems very sort of like, it's like, I know what I'm going to say, and then we're just going to say it over and over and over and over again. The movie felt just a little too full of itself, and it could have gone through a couple more drafts and found some more interesting twists to the way it wanted to tell its story. The relationship, between Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley is an example of that. It heightens. Like, their dynamic is crucial to the movie. Essentially, sort of a younger and older version of the same person in Hollywood. That dynamic is central to the movie, but that dynamic doesn't change at all. I was like sure at some point I thought maybe they were going to start teaming up or something. Like, it never changes. It's just the same dynamic from start to finish. And on top of that, like, I have no idea why Dennis Quaid's character doesn't really face any sort of consequences in the movie. Like, it's a body horror movie where Demi Moore is slowly exploding over the course of an hour. How does Dennis Quaid not get like a fork stuck in his eye or something? It's like why are there no rules to what we can do to Demi Moore, but we can't like have a fun death for Dennis Quaid or something like that? I'm sorry, I guess that's a spoiler, but I don't understand like the sort of, I don't know. The movie was simultaneously like going for it and also like not going for it at all. Like, not sort of avoiding some fun possibilities in the name of like playing it safe. For a movie that is so sort of like, the marketing was about how crazy it was, it kind of plays it safe in terms of the themes and doesn't really delve into the complexity of those themes in a way that would have been more satisfying. All of this, though, really points to a big issue with the movie. My biggest issue, which is that it ends up, because the themes end up being sort of surface, because there's some missed opportunities with some side characters, it ends up just being this sort of one-dimensional like spectacle of suffering. It's like the Book of Job starring Demi Moore. You just sort of watch her suffer and get tortured over the course of the movie. And there's a potential for a type of movie there that would work, but this movie is so like intentionally about the themes of the exploitation that actresses undergo in Hollywood, and the way that they are just sort of chewed up and spit out and treated as objects and not treated as humans. It's about that theme, but I feel like the movie more than critiquing that theme, just does that to Demi Moore in the movie. Like I saw The Substance with friend of the show Colette, and afterwards we were kind of looking at each other and talking, and I was like, I think that was like one of the most sexist movies I've ever seen. Like it's just like it gets like trapped into doing the thing that it is seemingly critiquing. That the movie is just like a spectacle of female suffering. Demi Moore's character has so little power or agency or like willpower or like ingenuity. Like she can't figure any way out of her situation. She barely fights back against her fate. She doesn't come close to any form of like redemption or revenge, really. And if the movie was like more of a realistic movie, that level of like pessimism could work, where the movie is just saying, yes, this is the reality of the situation, is the powerlessness to fight against these massive forces. But the movie is not a realistic movie. It's a highly stylized genre movie. And so I think this movie should have been more about providing a sort of cathartic alternative or corrective to reality, because that seems to be what the tone of the movie is demanding, is for Demi Moore to make these fuckers pay. And that doesn't have to come at the expense of meaningful political or social commentary. I think it would actually serve that end. But instead we just again get this sort of like spectacle of Demi Moore suffering for an hour and a half, and it doesn't feel like it ultimately has anything meaningful to say about the themes that it is ostensibly about. And beyond that, like the movie, it takes a lot of freedom in its depiction of Hollywood. You know, like it's the kind of movie where it doesn't really have reference points in real life. Like the biggest stars in Hollywood are TV aerobics instructors, and then there are these billboards that like face the Hollywood hills.
It's a fairy tale.
It's a fairy tale, right? So with that structure in mind, I think it would have benefited more from leaning into a sort of cathartic revenge tale as opposed to just like, you know, just you suffer until you die kind of a plot. So I felt like it doesn't really have much to say about the things that it's about, and it felt like a wasted opportunity, and it felt like a waste of some really good body horror. Big disappointment.
I thought The Substance was terrific. I really liked it. I thought it was great. I don't think it's perfect. I think it was great. I don't think you're wrong that it's surface. I think it's actually one note the entire way through. For old 2.5 hours, it is kind of obsessed with one theme, not sort of diverting from that theme and just hitting that theme over and over and over again. But I think it's a really like blunt force sort of reactionary movie. It's just like a sun flare of sort of emotion and sexual frustration. And though its Hollywoodness is so thin, I think it's just more about women, or even more specifically about all of our bullshit around our bodies. And how torturous it is to watch, you know, the qualies do their thing when they all seem so perfect, and just how time comes for you, and it's just fucking brutal. And it must be so much, you know, imagine being Demi Moore, like to have to go through the fucking 80s, 90s, like Hollywood ringer as such like a iconoclastic young woman, and like then get thrown away and put back. So, you know, obviously good casting there. I thought the movie was really like blunt and mean and just like pissed off, kind of nasty and a little silly, but interested in what it was wanted to do. I think some of the references were a little heavy-handed. I think some of the pop impulses were not for me. I like it a little bit more chill, but I gotta say, like, looked really good. Great performances. I loved you complimented sort of the art direction, and I liked the Substance stuff, and I liked how the rules were cut and clear. I liked that it was fairy tale. I loved when Dennis Quaid, when he's introduced to his character, when he like runs up to the camera and pulls his cock out to piss and is like yelling and chewing in your ear, right, really angry at the camera. And I just thought that it was just an angry, inventive sort of camera that felt fresh. You said this movie is so sexist. I think we have to fucking, you know, I don't think this movie is trying to be nuanced or light or delicate. I think we just have to we have to confront our sort of like disgusting obsession as a world culture with like young women's bodies, and this movie like puts you, the viewer, through the emotional ringer with the amount of like bodies and butts, and at the end, when spoiler, when the monster like spits a boob out as sort of like a peace offering, that, and then once she shows her true self to everybody turns on her and they have some big bombastic ending. It is not a knife. This movie is a sledgehammer. I don't think it's the world's most impactful movie. I don't think it has earth-shattering themes, but I think it was like excellently done. I loved the performances. I loved Quali, and I liked Quali in Drive Away Dolls, even though that movie's not really that great. What does she have? She's beautiful and talented and all the things that would piss Demi Moore off in this movie, and it was fun seeing Demi. I wanna stand up for this movie a little bit and just sort of, you know, we all want to go see a gross out horror. Like, why don't they make Reanimator anymore, dude? Why don't they make Blob 88? Well, they did. It's just about women this time, so you're going to have to fucking sit there and take it if you want your midnight slop. Also, all the effects and the horror stuff was great when she came out of the back. Demi Moore's old finger with beautiful makeup and effects that was. I don't think this is Best Picture. I don't think it's my favorite horror movie of the year, but I definitely know that this movie's terrific, and I look forward to watching more of Farragut's work as she continues.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I understand. I understand your point. It's just
I feel I don't like your. I don't disagree. I don't think the movie is striving for some great insight. I think it's just like doing its fairy tale and just doing it well, and all of its elements are really fun and good. Like, would recommend is better than your average horror movie, especially this year. And I thought the performances were great. I think that we look for this kind of movie, and then they made one, and now we're mad at it.
Well, but you don't get a pass just because you make the type of movie. You know, you still have to execute the movie.
I think they did.
And
it was really good.
It just felt ultimately a little empty of an experience to me, with some missed opportunities in terms of the.
It ain't deep. No. It's just it's not deep, but we still haven't, like, despite Me Too, despite every sucker fucking thing. We're never going to get over this sort of fucking fixation.
Maybe
with
it was just my
beauty,
expectations then. Maybe if I had gone in just expecting like a B, you know, if I had gone in just expecting Society, you know, maybe I would have enjoyed it a little bit more. But yeah, I don't know. We got to stop this festival buzz thing. Screws everything.
No, but
up.
Brett, I heard actually a bunch of people that I really trust their takes around town, kind of saying what you were saying, men and women. Like, I think this movie has a lot of interesting conversation, and I would definitely recommend people check it out.
People should definitely see it.
It's a fucking fun movie. It's not like I'm sending you to some fucking homework.
No.
It's a easy to watch if you're into horror and bodies.